So you're moving to Georgia and you want that beautiful yard? Well, Georgia's a little different than some of the rest of the country. We're here with Robbie Martin of Art of Landscape, and she's going to show us how you can get that perfect yard that you've always dreamed of.
Hi, and thank you for being here.
So here in Georgia, some of the basics. What does somebody need to know moving here to Georgia for the first time to get that perfect yard?
Well, first of all, you need to realize that our soil is a lot different than most of the soils in the other regions. We have that wonderful Georgia red clay that you might have heard of, but honestly, it gets a bad rap. It is difficult, but it is workable. So the red clay here in our area has a lot of good nutrients and elements in it, but it's hard to work with. So you've got to add something to your soil in order for the plants to really thrive. And what we recommend is a good soil conditioner with also a compost mixture, a good organic mixture. What that does is it'll break up our clay. What you have to understand is clay's hard to work with, and there's 3 things you never do to our soil here in Georgia. You never water clay before you try to plant, and you never try to plant in wet clay.
Didn't know that.
Well, the reason for that is clay, when it dries out, it becomes a rock. And your plants, the roots can't make it through that hard soil. And then number 2, we don't mix sand with clay, because everybody that has sandy soil thinks you come here and add sand, and a lot of times that'll turn it into like concrete. So you don't want to do that. And the third thing would be that you want to make sure you mulch when you do plant your plants here. So it's really simple. It sounds complicating, but it's not. All you got to do, mix soil amendment half and half with the clay. The clay will act as, it retains water, so you want to keep some of that in the soil. But the amendments are going to give you your nutrients and all, and it helps aerate the soil. So that's what you want to do, but then you've got to remember, we don't water it, we don't work it when it's wet, you don't add sand, and the third thing that you don't do is you don't leave it exposed. Because if you do, the sun, the rain will make it compact, and then nothing will penetrate that. So you got to mulch it.
So that brings up 2 questions for me. Mulch. See all these pine beds everywhere here in Georgia.
People don't realize that pine straw that is an option. A lot of people coming from different areas, they're used to using lots of rock and lava rock and different other amendments. But we use pine straw for our number 1, and pine mulch. That's what we usually do for as far as a mulching product.
And then you mentioned no sand. What about top dressing for like grass for your yard? Is that okay?
Yes. So if we get into the lawns, and that'll be a whole different thing, you can top dress with a sandy topsoil, which is easy to find here in our area.
So we found some clients moving here, and they're used to Florida and palm trees, or they're used to some other areas. What are some really classic, great plants here that's going to give them color and beauty that's native to this area?
We have the best opportunity for garden color. You can use hydrangeas, you can use azaleas, you can use hibiscus, and I'll show you some of those options. But the first thing you need to realize when you move here is you need to know what zone it is, because you just mentioned palm trees. And Georgia's got some crazy climate. We get real hot, we get real cold. So you want to look on your tags, you want to research or go to a garden center that knows what they're talking about, and you want to make sure the zone is between 7 and 8 for you to plant in, because if you plant a lot of things that are in zone 9 and 10, they won't handle the winter, which is your tropicals. Only a certain palm trees will grow here, so you want to make sure you know what you need and what size area you have.
So here we've got a lot of wildlife in Georgia, and I've planted a few things, and deer will come and wipe it out.
That's right.
You got some ideas about how to help with that?
Everybody has an opinion about deer. A lot of people have their shotguns because you're in Georgia, but we don't recommend that. But what you can do is there's chemicals you can use, like liquid fence or deer scram that you can put out. But you've got to realize that deer are very habitual animals. They get into the habit of going to your yard, your neighbor's yard. They'll come, and they get on that schedule. And if you can time the spraying or the chemicals so when they come, they don't like the smell or the taste, they'll just go somewhere else. So try to put out some type of a deer repellent. We also recommend planting plants that they don't like with the plants that you want to save.
Oh, mix them in together.
That's right. They hate smells. They don't like any of your herbs. You can put herbs with your plantings, and that'll help when they walk up. They don't like the smell of that, so that helps deter them also. So that's a couple of ideas, but everybody has different ideas, but that's kind of what we recommend.
And we got a lot of deer here in Peachtree City.
Yes. Your neighbor may be feeding the deer, so don't get mad. You just make sure you keep your plants sprayed or put a chemical out, and it shouldn't be a problem.
So in my yard, I like a lot of color. I like a lot of flowers. What can you help us out with that?
We can give you 12-month season color in your yard. Your annual.
You can't get 12-month season color in New York and New Jersey, can you?
No, you cannot. You cannot. But here we can come up with annuals that we can put out in the spring and in the fall that will last all through the winter. And then we can do perennials, which will be colored through early spring all the way to the fall also. And then we've got shrubs, azaleas, camellias, hydrangeas. That's just some of my favorites.
I love lantana.
Oh, I love lantana too. And that's a great plant too. Your perennials, we specialize in pollinating gardens. So if you want to add color, we can also help the bees and butterflies. We're able to do that in Georgia. So that's a great idea, but we can show you samples of all that. But we've got trees that bloom, crepe myrtles, dogwoods, flowering cherries. We have hydrangea trees. So if you just stop by, we can give you all kinds of ideas. You guys will love the opportunity you have to add color in your yard.
So dogwood is the Georgia state tree, correct?
I believe it is.
And you have to kind of be careful when you plant a dogwood. Am
Yes,
I right about that?
You do. My dad used to say that dogwoods, it takes 3 years because you want to shade their roots because they like being an understory tree. An understory tree would be one that likes to get a little shade in the afternoon. So when you plant a dogwood in full sun, you've got to keep it mulched so the roots won't dry out. But that's usually the best rule of thumb.
So from our friends from outside the state of Georgia, dogwoods are probably some of the most beautiful trees we have here.
They are. And our crepe myrtles bloom in the summer and they're heat tolerant and they are gorgeous. And our cherry trees, guys, we have red buds, we have cherry trees, we have, there's a lot of different opportunities.
Oh, speaking about cherry trees, so what are the good fruit trees grow here in this area?
You've got it made. You've got apples. We recommend Yates and Red Delicious, Yellow Delicious, Granny Smith. You've got plums you can grow. You can grow peaches, which the Georgia peach. So you've got the Alberta. You've got the Hellhaven. You've got some new varieties and blueberries. I love blueberries, and they do really well here. And there's all varieties. You can get dwarfs. You can get the rabbit eye, which is the larger blueberry, and they're easy.
Oh, we might have to do that. I have to get some blueberries before I go home today.
That would be awesome.
So now we have a lot of clients moving here from like New York and New Jersey, and they want to wait till summertime to plant.
Wrong.
Not in Georgia.
No, in Georgia, fall is a great time to plant, and spring is a great time to plant. So either time, as long as you can water it and take care of it, it's a great opportunity. And if you are from New York and you have a smaller yard, we do container gardening. We've got great plants that you can use in your containers so we can add color on your concrete spaces also.
So we just had a client move here from New Jersey, and they were kind of like red clay, and they wanted to grow their garden in the backyard, but most people here do raised gardens, right?
That's right. You can do that too. You can hire someone. We do landscaping, so you can hire someone to build a raised garden for you, and that way that you have the soil that you add that will be easier on the plants to root because you're putting all new organic good mixes, so they do a lot better in a raised garden.
So Robbie, we've got a lot of clients, Pinewood Studios, I guess now it's Trillis Studios, right up the street here, so we have a lot of people moving here from California. How are they going to adapt to this Georgia climate?
Well, first of all, a lot of the plants that you grow in California will be tropical or annual here. So we can still give you that color, but they won't last through the winter. So we can do the containers to give you your color that you have in California, and we can use some of the plants from California. We still have the cactus and the yuccas and the plants that you can have up there, but we're gonna have to supplement with some of our new stuff that I think you're really gonna enjoy.
A new climate, a new life, a new yard.
That's right. You gotta come check it out. I promise you'll be happy with it.
So when you move here to Georgia, it's a little bit different, but you can definitely adjust, and you're gonna have the most beautiful yard you've ever had in your life, and Art Landscape can help you do that.
That's right. We look forward to meeting you guys. Come see us.